Today on Locked On Rockies, we saw firsthand why you don't overreact to spring success, as the Rockies have a week-long skid. But it's not a reason to panic, as things still look like they might be moving in the right direction.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 6th day of March in the year 2026. I am your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, you're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here. Free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. Today on the show, we're going to talk about the Rockies on a bit of a spring training losing streak, but it's also spring training, so let's put it into perspective a little bit as well. Plus, we have a report from Purple Row looking into the Rockies' success at hitting the fastball so far, which would be a big win for the Colorado Rockies. Plus, the Rockies are not ranked the worst in baseball. Good news, good sign. Let's dive into it here with the Colorado Rockies in just one moment. But before we do that, I am, of course, Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk, as I have been for over 6 seasons now. That means hundreds of episodes with you, the Rockies fan, going through the ups, the downs, and everything in between of the Rockies season here. Today's episode is brought to you by MLB The Show 26. Visit MLBTheShow.com/LockedOn and use code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Pre-order now, available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. All right, so the Rockies lose to the Brewers 10-8. The Rockies went into this week above 500, but they have not won since last week. It's been a week since they have won a ball game. And unfortunately, the thing, I think, if you're looking at the big let's the ways to overreact, the ways to look at the results of these practice games essentially and say something's amiss, it's the fact that the Rockies gave up a ton of runs, and it's easy for it to give flashbacks to last season here. Quickly in my head, I'm just doing the numbers here. That's 25, so that is the Rockies gave up 31 runs in 4 games, and that doesn't count the 14 runs that they gave up against Team USA as well. So, that's 45 runs if you count that game as well. It's something that you can sit there and be concerned with, especially you look at the box score against the Brewers here, and Michael Lorenzen over 2 2/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, and Ryan Feltner 2 2/3, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks. 5 strikeouts, though, for Feltner, which is great to see. But when those guys are giving up those numbers and getting hit around like that, and as we've seen that happen to them a couple of times here in spring, you might sit there and start worrying. But Michael Lorenzen has been pretty open and pretty talking about how this is it's a process of tweaking things. And I believe I saw an interview, or at least a clip from Guerrilla Sports there, talking about how if this was in the season, he would have gone in a different direction. But today he was working on the changeup and how it wasn't feeling right. So we wanted to make sure he was working on that pitch still and going with it. So I would, of course, like to see a little bit more. I'd like to see more success from the Rockies pitching staff here to start the season and to start the spring and as we go through the spring. But I think the Rockies really are more. I think they're approaching it more of how can I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna keep throwing this pitch and I'm gonna keep working on it. I'm gonna keep doing this because I want to tweak and work on this. I'm gonna dive into and tinker with this pitch in this in these situations because now's the time to do it. Now's the time to work on things before things start going and getting real. So I don't get too worried about I'm not too worried about this being a bad omen. it certainly could be a bad sign, especially with what you're talking about and what your expectations are for Lorenzen and Feltner, especially. And we're not Cy Youngs, but guys we're hoping eat innings and keep the game close. Both of them now giving up a decent amount of runs here in their last couple of starts and throughout their work so far in spring. But I at least like to sit in, and so it's a good reminder here too. We're last week and last time we're doing this episode, it's, hey, well, look at this, Rockies on a roll, everything's all fun and dandy, and now it's like, okay, it's still a lot of this week serves as the reminder of a lot of work left to do, a lot of work to do, a long road ahead, and that hey, if we can't get too excited about the good week of spring training, I'm not going to get too disappointed and too upset about the down week during spring training. All useful reps, all important things in terms of development and getting ready for the season. And Rockies still scoring runs as well. 12 hits in this ball game. The Rockies, despite the losing streak this week, are scoring runs here. You know, a couple of low ones here at the beginning of the week and over the weekend, last weekend with the 3 runs against the Guardians and the Royals, but putting up a 5 spot against the Dodgers, an 8 spot against the Brewers here. And I know it was just 4 runs, but some good swings in that game against Team USA as well. So some good signs there. A couple of positives from the Rockies on offense here. Mickey Moniak doesn't leave the yard, but a couple of walks. Again, I think that's going to be a really big strength to him, not only for the power and the hopes that we have there, but if he can control the zone, that's going to make him a very dangerous part of the lineup as well. Tyler Freeman gets his first action here of the spring after fighting some lower back issues, and he gets an RBI double as part of that. Always good to see you. You know, I'm a big fan of the extra base hit, and Charlie Condon gets I believe it was, I don't know if it was a sac fly or a sacrifice something, because the at bat didn't count, and he got a run for it there. Couple of other things here. Big day for Ryan Ritter. He continues to be a spark plug. He's been awesome. We highlighted some of his stats. He's had an awesome spring so far. TJ Rumfield picking up a hit in this ball game as well. So yeah, 12 hits, 8 runs scored for the Rockies. Always good to see here. And good to see the offense rolling a little bit, and a variety of guys scoring in this one here. So it's a spring training loss. Sure, it's a tough week of losing in spring training, but again, I ain't gonna get in the pits about it. I'm not overreacting. I'm still liking the fact that the Rockies were hitting the ball well, have been hitting the ball for power, and I like the open honesty that we're getting from the pitching staff about where they're at and where they want to be and their expectations going forward. So let me know. How did you react to this week? Are you overly worried? Are you nervous about the Rockies? Is it making you feel a little less confident about the squad as we get closer and closer to opening day? Let me know in the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section down below. But we're going to take a quick break, and then are the Rockies actually moving in the right direction? That might be the case, at least according to MLB.com. Let's talk about that coming up next. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. We're also brought to you by FanDuel and March. What does March mean? It means college basketball, the big tournament, the conference tournaments, big games every night. College basketball is nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Maybe you're believing in the Rams. Maybe you're believing in the Buffs. Maybe you're believing in your alma mater. You never know. But the rivalry games, the ranked matchups, whatever fits your fancy. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props to match how you see the slate playing out. Then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Back at it here for segment number 2 of today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are, of course, on your favorite streaming services and the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. And be part of the show and be part of the Everydayer Club. $5 a month are going to get you access to the Everydayer Club Discord server, which has got group chats surrounding all the sports, plus a special Locked On Rockies channel where we could talk Rockies every day on the Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server. You also get ad-free audio, $5 a month, $50 a year. LockedOnRockies.supercast.com. Check it out there for more details. All right, so here's some good news. As Mike Petriello writes here on MLB.com, ranking all 30 teams by tiers 1 to 9. So it's a tradition, Mike says here, and breaks down into 9 somewhat subjectively defined tier groups. That is what it's being broken down. So the Dodgers ranked at the top, eyeing history here. And then they say the World Series are bust teams, which are the Blue Jays, Cubs, Mariners, Phillies, Red Sox, Tigers, Yankees. Out of that group, who are you the most excited to watch? I know if you've been watching the show long enough, you know I'm biased. I am very much on the Mariners bandwagon for my geographical location. Plus, I really like the story, really like the team as well. I think it's going to be an interesting one. But all of those teams are going to be good, and all of those teams are going to be interesting. The tier 3. Non-playoff teams most likely to get there in 2026. These are teams with playoff odds north of 50% at FanGraphs, which are the Braves, Mets, and the Orioles. Orioles, I would like to see them make a run as well. I think that would be fun. The AL East could be a real interesting division, as it often is next year. Though we always underrate you and always look bad duo, Brewers and Guardians are in there. We'll see what those two teams do. Always interesting teams. Here's teams that are in the 500 zones. The Astros, D-backs, Giants, Padres, Rangers, Rays, Reds. I'd say that seems about right. So great. It's kind of crazy to see the Astros trending down, right? I mean, I'm so used to you got so used to the Astros being so good and just being at the top of the headlines and kind of being the evil empire, especially with the scandal involving them. And now the Dodgers have just really kind of made them. It just feels like their era of dominance and mixed with the scandal, of course, kind of moved on. Moved on from that a little bit. We'll see if they're able to bounce back. Still an interesting club there. But as we heard, Locked On Diamondbacks is very bullish about the team. I'm curious about these. I think sleeping on the NL West here. I mean, maybe that's you're sitting there saying the 500 zone just because the NL West might beat up on each other or quieter off seasons for these teams, but the NL West has been one of the best divisions in baseball, with Rockies excluded for a while now. So I'd be curious to see how those pan out, and always rooting for the Reds too. I got family ties to Ohio, so always rooting for the Reds there. The tier 6, though, what if you have a top 5 pitcher and hitter zone, which is the Royals and Pirates? They're going to be. I think those two teams certainly will be interesting. Tier 7 on the right track and should be a lot of fun to watch. That's where the Athletics and Marlins go. It's where I want the Rockies to next year. That's really where I want the Rockies to fall. Of course, we want to see not only step in the right direction, but that's really what I hope the Rockies are this year. I hope they are the surprise team that's much more enjoyable to watch. I just hope the quality of baseball that the Rockies play this year is just a big step up from last year. I expect it to be. You never know. But if it's just bad baseball, if it's just unfun to watch, if it's just difficult and challenging to watch, then that's really just going to be a big bummer here. And here's the tier 8. Here's where the Roccos are. Lots of losses ahead, but finally headed in the right direction. Cardinals, Rockies, Nationals, White Sox. And I just want to read a little bit here from what Mike says. Here we have the 3 teams that lost more than 95 games last year, and one, the Rockies, that posted a wild 43-119 mark and was outscored by more runs than any team in modern history, and yet we're moving them up a tier from last year's tier 9. It's still going to be a long season full of a lot more losses than victories, but for some of these clubs, for the first time in a very long time, you can see the future plan starting to move along. Within these groups, there are probably 2 sub-tiers in both the Nationals and Rockies have finally turned over baseball operations to external hires after decades of being run more or less the same way, falling behind the rest of the sport. Even that didn't play out exactly the same. Washington has gone for the youngest front office staff in the game, while Colorado went for more from a blast from the past, Paul DePodesta, to return to baseball after years in football. But the point is the same, which is that both teams will have some badly needed new ideas from new faces. That's likely to still be a pair. That's still likely to be a pair of last place finishes, but at least it'll be last place in service of something. And I mean that's really it's no surprise there, right? That is hopefully going to be the takeaway at the end of the season. Hey, they lost a lot. They still finished in last place in their division. They still lost 90 plus games. But you take the changes in the offseason, you take the developments and the breakouts and the possible upsides of what might happen with the roster during the year. You factor in the trade deadline, and then hopefully there's a world that the Rockies can move up into the bad but fun tier. And I know it's a baby step, but if the baseball starts getting fun, then that means that's how we know that the plan, not only is it working, but the confidence is building with the team, and the team's going to be in a better spot, and we feel like the team's actually moving in a direction. I hope that next year we can actually start seeing and understanding the direction of the team, the philosophy of the team. We've been told draft and develop. We've been told, we basically just stick to it, the same thing. It's all going to pan out. The Rockies have never had a direction and truly stuck with that direction until maybe now. It's still too early. There's still question marks about the DePodesta track record, especially in his success at his last job. But the point is, I'm glad that it's another moment of refreshment for the Rockies fan, that the national perspective of the Rockies and the changes that they've made and the new direction that they've started going in is one that has people from the outside looking at it in a positive way. Especially when there's still 2 more teams that are ranked below the Rockies here in the tier 9 of what's the path forward with the Angels and the Twins. So, but they clarified they don't expect the teams to have the most losses in baseball, but what is the direction? What is the plan? And the Rockies easily fit into that, have fit into that, and could easily slide back into that if we don't actually see things changing as time goes on. It's just unfortunate that for the Rockies fan, you just have to give it more time. There's no real other solution other than that. So, hey, but not last, not technically the worst, even though paper and projections wise, the Rockies still projected to be the worst team in baseball this year by some metrics there. But here's hoping that it's not going to be the Rockies. Let's hope that they are the ones that are the surprise team and they hit their rock bottom, and they can look like the White Sox and the Athletics, at least a little bit more competitive here and a little bit more aggressive on some acquisitions and trades and stuff. All right. Want to finish out the show with a little bit of some work from Purple Row, talking about the Rockies hitting the fastball, an important thing as we continue to monitor the development of the roster throughout spring. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes MLB The Show 2026. This week's MLB Top 100 highlight is brought to you by MLB The Show 26, the latest from the beloved video game franchise. Each week, we're highlighting the stars of MLB's Top 100 players list, the elite names you'll be controlling, building around, and going head-to-head with in MLB The Show. Today, we're spotting, I think the player is at the top of my list of player to watch this year. And he comes in at number 15 on our list, Julio Rodriguez, the center fielder for the Seattle Mariners. I think Julio Rodriguez, if you were building a dynasty team, if you were building a team from scratch, like you can in MLB The Show 26, Julio Rodriguez would be at the top of the list of guys you'd want to build around. He can do everything that you want from a baseball player. He's got the big bat. He's an elite defender. He can steal bases, and he's a massive personality, a perfect leader and guy to have on your team and in your clubhouse. Hey, maybe you want to build a fantasy draft dynasty mode, franchise mode with the Colorado Rockies, and you want to pick up Julio Rodriguez. And if the Mariners fans out there, this is the guy you build your franchise around. And in the show, you can do exactly that. Hey, not only can you see everything going on here and on the MLB side of MLB The Show, you can check out the World Baseball Classic in the game as well. Take on actual World Baseball Classic teams from all over the world with your Diamond Dynasty team, and you can do the road to the show, the best part of MLB The Show. Put yourself in the shoes, become the player of your dreams, and take the Rockies to the World Series as you go through college, the minors, and make your big league debut in Road to the Show. Will you make it to Cooperstown? That's this week's MLB Top 100 highlight presented by MLB The Show, where you can play, manage, and build with your favorite players and teams. If you love talking baseball, you'll love playing it even more. Visit MLBtheshow.com/lockedon and use code LOCKEDON to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Internet connection required. Pre-order now. Available March 17th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Locked On Rockies here, back with you all for segment number 3 of today's episode of the show. And thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. Hey, I wanted to finish up here with a piece from Skylar Timmons. This is from Wednesday. And this is a little thing. When you're looking for small details or things to be intrigued about during spring training, this is the type of stuff that sticks out to me here. I want to read from this. One of the biggest problems for the 2025 Colorado Rockies was hitting the fastball. That was, let's see, and this was highlighting an issue. He talks about a piece that he wrote. I believe we talked about it when they were covering it in May, but here's a little bit more. Most things remain the same, but they did improve to the medium in terms of batting average and total hits by the end of the season. The extreme still existed as they finished with the third highest strikeout rate, 20.5%, fourth highest whiff rate, 21.6%, third fewest home runs, 82, and fourth fewest balls in play on the fastball. So they struck out on fastballs 20.5% of the time, whiffed on them 21.6% of the time, only hit fastballs for home runs 82 times, and they had the fourth fewest balls in play after the fastball. So here's what Skylar adds. In short, the team struggled mightily against fastballs and couldn't generate much meaningful offense against them. Fully aware of their problems, the Rockies' new front office and coaching staff, including new hitting coach Brett Pill, had the task of helping the team cut down on the swings and misses and become a more productive lineup across the board. It stands to reason that the team is working to catch up on the fastball to mitigate some of the issues they were having, and the early spring training returns are promising. Entering Tuesday, so now this was posted on Wednesday, so just a little bit of context here. Entering Tuesday, the Rockies' offense has shown improvement and ranks among the more productive teams in spring training with promising gains in strikeout and walk numbers. So how are they doing with the fastball at this point in camp? Thankfully, Baseball Savant has provided insight via StatCast for our search today. A simple indicator of success will always be batting average, and the Rockies aren't doing too shabbily a few weeks into camp. Sporting a 290 average, the club ranks 9th in all of baseball, right in line with the Seattle Mariners and the Boston Red Sox. They are still well behind the San Francisco Giants, who sit at a dazzling 3.64 average on fastballs. What's interesting is that the Rockies have seen far fewer fastballs than the majority of the top 10 teams in batting average. At this point in spring training, the league average of fastballs hitters have seen is 57.4%. The Rockies have seen 55%, which ranks near the bottom of baseball despite seeing the 9th most total pitches. An influx of breaking balls early in camp is to be expected as pitchers try to dial things in and experiment with new pitches, but the work the team has been able to do against fastballs is promising. Making contact is priority number one to cut down on whiff rate, and the Rockies are already making steady progress. At 18.4%, the Rockies have the 4th lowest whiff rate against fastballs in baseball, with a 16.7% strikeout rate, which is just below league average. You have to hit the fastball. You can't struggle against a pitch that is just so versatile, so useful, and just usually the number one tool in the toolkit for a pitcher. At least it seems like. Obviously, a lot of pitchers now throwing this stuff, basically fastballs with movements in terms of sliders, cutters, sweepers, whatever you want to go with. But struggling when you're being just challenged with some cheese, some high velocity, high and tight fastball or something like that. That was what part of we were talking about being a more entertaining team to watch. When the Rockies would just get blown away, 3 pitches, they just came. So many pitchers would be able to just go right at the Rockies hitters, just attack them right away and not even blink. That's why you have to. Not only do you have to be able to put hit the fastballs for actual hits, but spoiling the pitches, fighting them off, building out those counts, and making sure that the pitchers are executing and hitting their spots with the fastball and being able to work the counts enough where you can get them to miss with their fastball to draw a walk, or they throw the mistake pitch and throw it into the middle of the zone. In order to be a great offense and a successful offense, this is one of those, when you're talking about little things, your little details, this is an area you have to be successful, because obviously, it's very difficult when guys can come up and pump 99 and 90, and 90s with movement. I'm not sitting there saying that I'm going to be up there being able to hit any fastball at the major league level. But when we're talking about more competitive at bats, not being dominated and not being not being blown away by the fastball is going to be crucial for the Colorado Rockies here. Back to Skyler here. In the brief sample size, it's clear the Rockies are putting into practice what they are preaching about improving control of the zone and taking advantage of the fastball. While coaching certainly plays a major part in the growth, personnel also have their role. The Rockies made it a point this offseason to bring in players with improved plate discipline and contact abilities. Willie Castro and Jake McCarthy have proven capable in their careers at making contact, particularly against the fastball. At his best in 2023, Edouard Julien was a menace against fastballs, and rookie hopeful TJ Rumfield made a career in the minors with elite plate discipline and contact skills. It's promising to see prospects like Cole Carrig and Charlie Condon topping the list of batting average here against the fastball, which they were batting at 600 respectively. Ryan Ritter at 462, Brett Sullivan 500, Jake McCarthy 429, Adiel Amador 333, Zach Veen 296, Jordan Beckett 250, all on that charts there. So there's a lot more into this and goes in depth into the different types of fastballs and more of the numbers. But I just wanted to highlight that because that is one of those areas you are looking for upside. You are looking for growth, especially here in spring training. Plate discipline and controlling that zone, as they've talked about, is going to be, it will be the difference maker. It will be a big reason why the Rockies are either really, really bad or better than people expect. Folks, that is going to do it for us here on Locked On Rockies. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB and the Back to the Bullpen podcast on the Locked On MLB feeds. Plus, we got you covered with Locked On Broncos, Avalanche, Nuggets, and Buffs, all free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Folks, until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.